Well, it looks like I got someone's attention recently, and it was enough to inspire a video about me. The YouTuber Carneval put out a video about triggering pagans. And in this video, he asked pagans to let him know what their moral code is. Then me, being myself, responded and opened with, "Morality is subjective." I never actually got to discuss my moral code because of the reaction to my first comment, but that's irrelevant at this point because the discussion has shifted, and I'm sure no matter what I say, my code will be viewed as being evil by default. After reading down through the comments and listening to dialogue, it seems as though my argument is being twisted into something I'm not actually saying. I'm going to define my exact meaning while avoiding certain terms. This way we can avoid any confusion with definitions that have been changing over time. So here it is in its simplest form. If you believe that something I'm doing is wrong, but I don't believe that it's wrong, then both of us have differing opinions on what is right or wrong. Carneval suggests that this is me being self-centered and not looking at the bigger picture, because high IQ individuals say that in older times people didn't think that way. I have to agree, to a point. Humans are in fact tribal by nature. So in order for a tribe to succeed, its members must work as a unit. This means that the individuals in this group must maintain a code of behavior that is not detrimental to whatever the goal is. Anything that benefits the tribe is right, and any actions that cause sabotage are wrong. So, I guess we agree somewhat that your people, whether they be yours or mine, come first, regardless of what an outsider considers to be right or wrong. Of course, an argument can still be made that if a collective deems a specific thing wrong, then it is in fact wrong. But that goes out the window when another group comes along with different goals and different methods of achieving them. But according to your stance, if the group is doing something you or your people deem wrong, while this group considers it right, then it's evil. If I suggest evil doesn't exist, then you'll say that I also have to believe that morality doesn't exist, and that's not true. You are trying to trap me within your frame of belief, which is fine, but it's making it difficult to have a discussion in reality. To you, evil is real. It goes beyond this construct that was created in order to paint something as the villain. To me, it's nothing more than that. But you act as though it's impossible to develop a moral code because of this. And then there is an assumption that supporting subjective morality means being okay with an anything-goes society. Or like you say, a world where it's okay to rape, but it's also okay to stop the rapist by killing them. That's not what I'm saying. The world you're describing would disintegrate very quickly, which is exactly why we invent boundaries to have some kind of order. Do people obey laws because they'll lose sleep over doing bad things? Or do they behave due to fear of punishment? There are so many different ways to navigate this argument, but the point I'm trying to drive home is that it's based on opinion, and that opinion has a direct relationship with what is functional at that time. I agree 100% that it would be illogical to make certain acts permissible, because that level of chaos would be detrimental to progress. Claiming that we don't do specific things, or that we teach others to not do specific things solely because it is wrong, would be overlooking the fact that we require some type of system that prevents civilization from falling apart. This is what it's always been about. Having structure. Implementing a foundation of codes that enforces order. Order that keeps the machine running. Everything else is opinion. Hey everybody. Thanks for watching my video. Please like and subscribe. And if you could, tap that little bell icon so you're notified every time I come out with new content. Especially for times like this. Also, the link to my Discord will be in the description, as well as links to the videos I've been discussing. So at the end of Carneval's video, his response to my comment, he ended it with a challenge. He asked, which I'm assuming this was directed at me, he asked me to prove that morality is subjective. So I'm going to do this by referencing what Carneval said during this video. And this is what Carneval said. If you truly believe that morality is subjective, then why virtue signal? Everybody tries to tell somebody what's right or what's wrong. When you raise your kid, you raise them a certain way because you believe there are some sort of objective truths governing what's right and what's wrong. If you didn't, you wouldn't teach your children. You wouldn't tell anybody how to act. To whoever's listening right now, rewind this video and listen to that over and over again. Especially you, Carneval, if you're listening to this video. With what you said right there, you literally prove that morality is subjective. Especially with this one specific line. When you raise your kid, you raise them a certain way because you believe there are some sort of objective truths. You believe there are some objective truths. You, as in the individual, believe this. In your video, you talked about murder a few times. I think that's a good example to use. If we're talking about whether murder is morally right or wrong, you cannot present the argument as, it's wrong because I say so, or it's wrong just because. You also have to follow up with an explanation. You have to tack on a why. And that why is subjective. But regardless, if we're gonna stick with this argument that murder is wrong just because it's wrong, that's still subjective. That is your opinion. And even if we try to use the argument referring to the golden rule, well, you shouldn't murder because you wouldn't want murdered. Well, that right there, you're assuming somebody wouldn't want, like, how do you know this? It's an opinion. You can't know. Unless the person tells you. I can promise you that there are plenty of people out there who are okay with rape and murder and pedophilia and racism. And you cannot assume that these people know that that is wrong and maybe they feel bad doing it or that there's regrets. You don't know that unless you are a psychic and you can read this person's mind. It's like going to your job and having a big meeting with all the employees and standing in front of everybody and go, I want a show of hands for everyone who's okay with racism. No intelligent person who is racist is going to raise their hand because they know that they're probably going to lose their job if they do that. And then even going back to the example you gave about raising your children, every single person on this planet is going to raise their children according to what they believe. That in itself is subjective. But alright, I've rambled on long enough. And to end this, Carneval, I'm going to do something similar to what you did. I'm going to leave this on a challenge. Prove the existence of evil. Prove that you can measure it. Alright, that's it for me. Until you hear from me again, have a good one.